Hello, class. Welcome to DEI 101, and I am so excited to have you all here on today. I am your professor, Tamieka Smith, MBA HR, and we're going to have a great time in this class. And this is going to help you in your personal and professional development. And we're going to talk about some of the definitions and the frameworks and the historical context of DEI, which stands for diversity, equity, and inclusion. Welcome to week one. We're on slide one, so just follow me as I talk. And in this session, we will lay the groundwork foundation for our exploration of diversity, equity, and inclusion by defining key terms and frameworks and examining the historical roots of DEI efforts. This foundational understanding is very crucial for the meaningful engagement in this course. Go on to slide 2. All right, so these wonderful looking people that you see here are myself and my beautiful children. And again, my name is Tamieka Smith, your professor for DEI 101. And for the next 4 weeks, I will be working with you all. And I have an MBA HR and the RACS, that stands for Recruiter Academy Certified Sourcer. So, in my 9 to 5, I do a ton of acquisition sourcing analyst work with Duke University Hospital and go Duke Blue. However, I'm one of those people that is a Carolina fan, and even though I am on Duke's payroll, I am over 40. I'm a proud parent of a member of the LGBTQIA plus community, and my kids, Diamond and Deshawn, and I have a child that will be graduating June of this year. How exciting and scary at the same time. And I do have 3 guinea pigs, and I am a 4-time author and owner of Wordsmith Enterprises. So when I say I am busy, yes, I am busy, but we do keep it balanced. This week, objectives will set the stage for your DEI journey. We will discuss key concepts, discuss theoretical frameworks, and have a closer look at how DEI has shaped in various contexts. And diversity is the way to identify a person. And you can also have some intersectionality there as well. And for example, let's say you have 2 black men, so that's their first commonality, and they are both Christian. Okay, and then you have one that may be homosexual and one that may be heterosexual. So those intersections, they help create what's called diversity, if that makes sense. And then you have equity, and that's when you have something like, for example, when someone is doing a salary negotiation, and it's historically known that white men get paid more than, for instance, a black woman. And with that being said, we have to learn how to properly do salary negotiations. So, in my 9 to 5, I do make sure that people get equity pay, and also that they properly present their value and what they bring to the potential company. So when we have inclusion, that's when someone that needs access, like for instance, someone that has a disability, and with inclusion, when someone needs to feel included, they feel valued, and they are more likely to stay at a corporation. So keep that in mind. So we will be learning the frameworks that helps DEI, because like a house, you can have a solid foundation, but when you have an understanding of what DEI is, you will also be able to create the frameworks so that you can understand it in your day-to-day living as well as your professional life. Even if you have a small business, you need to understand what DEI is. So we're going to take a look and have a deep dive into the historical context of initiatives. And I encourage you all to look at these because of what you do, and I'm providing links to you, so it'll give you more of a deep dive. All right, so we're on slide 4 now. And what is DEI? It's simple. the world right now, which is making it complicated. So diversity is the representation of different identities and perspectives within a group. Equity focuses on providing resources and opportunities based on individual needs, ensuring fairness. Inclusion ensures that everyone feels valued, respected, and able to contribute fully. I've also included a link understanding the difference between affirmative action, EEO, and DEI, just so you can have a better understanding of, the frameworks of affirmative action and how that got into place in the EEO and what all they do, and then how DEI, even though it's recently been talked about, it's not a new concept. So, slide 5, DEI initiatives did not emerge overnight. They are deeply rooted in historical movements like the Civil Rights era and policies like affirmative action, which aim to correct systemic inequities. And understanding this history provides context for today's practices. This historical roots for significance is because it's these organizations and the initiatives that has been taking place over the course of years to make sure that marginalized people are happy where they work. And it's just not a quote unquote, where there's someone that may feel included and they work a decent salary, work in an organization, where integration was going on and all the changes in America that was happening during the civil rights movement. We have things in place over the years, such as affirmative action. And even then, though it may not have benefited the Black woman or man, as it, benefits white women more and Asians more, but it has benefited us. So to really understand where DEI came from in the first place, I did have a link in the slide that you can take a look at. And it's a TEDx speaker, and he did a really great breakdown of how DEI impacts schools and the community. So I do encourage you all to take a look into that as well. All right. So now we're on slide 6, and we're going to talk about a case study with Starbucks implicit bias training. So in 2018, Starbucks made headlines for addressing an incident of racial bias with company-wide training. While this was commendable, this case highlights that bias training alone isn't enough. It must be part of a systemic approach to DEI. And the case study of 2018 with Starbucks is quite interesting, to say the least, because you know how you're in Starbucks casually, just sitting down, and you may not necessarily be a patron, but you would think, because it's so welcoming in that environment, you can be like, hey, I have my laptop, I'm just going to meet a friend, and we can have a quick chat. And so it was these two guys sitting in Starbucks, and they wasn't patrons, and they may have looked a little scruffy. They wasn't in a suit or anything. And I guess the woman that happens to be a white woman felt intimidated by these two Black men and called the police. And so it escalated, and then it went to national news, world news. And so these guys, rightfully so, they decided to create a settlement for Starbucks. And once you click the link and look at the video, I want to hear your thoughts on how that was settled, and if you agree to that or not, because it was a significant impact to Starbucks because of that bias. And we'll talk that in week 2 about bias. And, they had to close 8,000 stores in a day to have a buyer's training. And although it was a great start to create change in conversation, but we all have some kind of bias. When you think about, let's say, Asian people, what do you think about? When you think about Indian people, what do you think about? So those biases we have in our own mind, and we may not necessarily say them out loud, but we do have to be mindful of that in our personal and professional development. All right, so we're on slide 7 now. And there's another case study that I wanted to discuss with you all, and this is Microsoft's DEI initiatives. So a case study with Microsoft's DEI initiatives, they are great at having an idea of what DEI really is, and that they have global diversity and inclusion. They have a whole mission on their way to combat the issues, not only in America, but in the world, because Microsoft is a global company and they have a global community. So there's many facets of DEI, and they have done a great job of that. And you could also see that through the link that I've provided in this slide. Microsoft's comprehensive DEI initiatives focus on accountability and representation. By publishing their annual diversity reports and invested in mentorship programs, the company demonstrates a commitment to measurable progress. And to further help you with recommended materials on slide 8, I've included Jennifer Brown's book, How to Be an Inclusive Leader. You can find it on Amazon, major bookstores. I know some people are boycotting Amazon. There's on Barnes and Noble and other retailers. You may be able to find it in your local library. Let's go back to local libraries in 2025. And also, McKinsey's report, it provides data-driven analysis on why inclusion matters. And any articles, I know it says Blackboard, but any articles will be provided also in your Google Classroom. That's where all your information will be. All right, so we're going to combine slide 9 and 10 on this last voice memo. And so for this discussion activity, and this can be like an extra credit for whoever wants to engage with this, I want you to discuss and think about your DEI initiatives that you observed and participated in. It could have been an employee resource group, like a club that's in your job, or even at your church. They have programs like this, but they just word it different. Just like, going to a ladies' night or something like that. Just think about any DEI initiatives that you may have observed or participated in, and reflect on their effectiveness, and collaborate with your peers to brainstorm on ways these efforts could be improved. And closing thoughts, as we go into week 1 topics, we have discovered what DEI is. We have definitions, we have frameworks and historical context of DEI. And as we go into week 2, we'll delve deeper into bias and privilege. And do not forget to submit your assignments at your earliest convenience. You do have until February 9th to complete these assignments. Keep in mind that you do have until February 9th to complete these assignments. I don't want you to get overwhelmed and burdened. I know we're all working adults and we have other things